How much do you need to invest to reach FIRE? Financial independence, retire early. It's different for everybody. In this series, I want to go through different examples and scenarios on how you can plan your FIRE. Cue the classical music and let's dive in. Welcome back everyone, I'm the Swedish dividend investor. So guys, this will be a series, like I said, and it's going to be a bit theoretical. There will be a lot of numbers and a lot of spreadsheet action. So, why does every FIRE look different? Well, different people have different life choices. Maybe you have 4 kids, or 0. Maybe you live in a small apartment, or you need a mansion with 2 vacation homes. Maybe you want a partial FIRE where you work part-time. I was bored, and as one does when you're bored, I started sketching on a spreadsheet. I did this for myself to plan ahead using my expenses and some math to see what amount invested I would need to live free. This is based on expenses, portfolio yield and dividend taxes. So this will spit out your FIRE number. Before we dive in, remember this is not financial advice. I'm just sharing my investment journey, my analysis and my crazy ideas. Make sure to read the full disclaimer in the description down below. So, here it is. I will try to quickly go through how it works. So, looking at the FIRE calculator page. At the top we have portfolio yield and dividend tax. The yield is a scroll down menu, starting with 1% and goes on with increments of 0.5%. Since the list would be very long if it was more detailed. For the dividend tax, it is entered manually. Then we have the budget planning section, and I used 3 currencies, Swedish crowns, euro and US dollars. I've also added a known total row in the budget. This is used if we already know the exact number for expenses or just have a number in mind. You will see later. I'm sure there are a lot more expenses that should be added in the future. So, comment down below with your suggestions. I added a row for part-time income. Like I said before, some people only want a partial FIRE, or maybe you have a pension. If we don't have a part-time job, we simply leave it at 0. Next is the overshoot. This is our margin of safety, since retiring on the exact numbers we need is like asking for trouble. Surprises will happen, and not always pleasant surprises. The overshoot is just another input. If you don't want to use it, put it on 0. And that's basically it. The rest is just numbers. It will calculate what the minimum invested amount is, based on yield, expenses and taxes. And it will also give us the overshoot numbers. I'll quickly show you the next page. It's simply a salary replacement calculator using the same principles as the previous page, except expenses. So, say my monthly salary after taxes is 27,000 Swedish crowns, and I go for a yield of 7.5% with an 8% tax rate. I enter it and voila! Could it be done more neatly without all the numbers? Yes, but I like numbers. As you have probably seen from the title, the type of FIRE we are covering today is the Nomad. What is a nomad? According to Google, it is a person who does not stay long in the same place, a wanderer. For me, I think of an explorer, a life on the road, but in a modern style. Van life comes to mind. I think this is an awesome goal. It's not for everyone, but you get the freedom to see the world. My mom is kind of going this route when she's retiring. Anyway, let's get into it. Of course, there are different ways to go about this. Maybe we bought a van and converted it and paid it off when we were working and saving. Or maybe we bought a used one and need to pay it off as we go. I won't do every thinkable scenario, but we can try at least 2. For the numbers, I've googled some average costs, so take these numbers with a pinch of salt. On housing, we will simply put a 0. Utilities, This would be gas canisters for the stove and heat. Let's go with 60 euros for 2 refills per month. Food is a tough one, but let's go with a budget build here. Let's go for 300 euros. 60 euros for insurance. Let's put 45 on the phone, but this does include internet as well. So a plan with unlimited data. Car payment. Now, for the budget build, we have already paid off the car, but it is an older car. So we will need to have a rainy day fund for when it breaks down. So I put 100 here. Gas. Let's say 250 liters of diesel will get us somewhere around 1,500 to 2,500 kilometers. So let's say 2,000 kilometers. That's about 400 euros. Healthcare. We could get a European health insurance card and pay the same rate as citizens in whatever country you're in. So let's go with 50 euros. Self-care, 25 euros. Streaming, let's put 60 here. You will have a lot of downtime and time on the road. Spotify, Netflix and YouTube Premium. Miscellaneous. This could be drinks like beer or firewood and emergency funds. I don't know, let's put 100 euros per month. The fun fund, purely for pleasure. Let's go with 100 here as well. So, the budget is done. We need 1,300 euros per month to live this life. Now, for the budget build, we will try some stuff out. First, we assume no part-time work. We invest with a yield of 5% and a dividend tax of 15%. And let's go for an overshoot of 5%. We're not living large here. We would need 1,368 euros per month after taxes, or 16,421 per year with the overshoot. That means the price tag for our freedom is 386,377 euros with a yield of 5%. And as we can see below, it balances out. Now let's see how it would look if we were a bit more aggressive with the yield. Let's go for 8%, but with an overshoot of 10%. Now we would get 144 euros in extra income per month. That could be withdrawn if needed, or used to reinvest for even more monthly cash flow. We can see the minimum needed amount with overshoot is now 254,901 euros. And let's be a Swedish investor with basically zero taxes on dividends and a really aggressive covered call portfolio yielding 10%. We will go for a 15% overshoot now, since the covered call ETFs vary in payments month to month. So we get an additional 229 euros per month to use or reinvest, and the needed amount is now 183,529 euros. I hope you get the idea with this. Let's add a small part-time income to this. Maybe we're an influencer, or we do gig work from our computers. So let's say we earn 300 euros per month on the road. We just add it and it gets subtracted from the expenses. Now we only need 141,176 euros with a 10% yield, with an 8% yield and 15% tax, 196,078 euros, and from the first example, 297,213 euros with a 5% yield and 15% tax. So let's go with a bit more Glamorous Nomad style. I've increased the expenses a bit and gone for a car payment of 400 per month, since we bought a used one and need to pay it off every month. I added a bit more to everything. In this case, the food budget is 600 per month, and the fun fund and miscellaneous is a lot bigger as well. And we get a monthly total of 2,395 euros. Let's go with the same example. 5% yield, 15% tax and 5% overshoot. With 126 euros per month in extra income from the overshoot, we would need to get 2,521 euros per month after taxes. That's a minimum of 711,826 euros. And at 8% yield and 10% overshoot, we would need to invest 469,607 euros. Let's go with 10% yield and 0% tax and a 15% overshoot. Now we have 422 euros in extra income per month, and the invested amount is now 338,117 euros. Now 15% of almost 2,400 is a lot and maybe a bit excessive, but this is just for experimentation. Let's do one final example. Let's say we would want to hit the road with a strict total budget of 1,000 euros per month. Since we know the budget, all we have to do is enter it under known total. I've gone with the numbers from my own portfolio here. So a 7.5% yield. And since I hold some stocks I pay a withholding tax on, my tax rate is around 8%. I've gone for an overshoot of 10%. Let's see the numbers. 13,333 euros per year in dividends needed. So an invested amount of 193,236 euros. A bit off then from where I'm currently at. But let's say I make some money on the road, say 200 per month. The invested amount goes to 154,589 euros instead. I can play around with this for a while longer, but this was the Nomad FIRE. If you want me to run your numbers, let me know. And if you don't want to post your numbers down below, you can always contact me via my email. It is in the channel description. I will do a few more examples like this I have in mind. And also, let me know what you think about this and if this is something you would want access to. I need a bit more time to fine-tune it, and I want to add an investment calculator with reinvesting as well, so it will be a full planner. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you got some inspiration. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe if you did. That's it for this one. I will see you guys next week. Until then, stay smart, stay patient and keep stacking those dividends. Ha det gött!